Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy Leif Erikson Day to you all. Or belated Leif Erikson Day, depending on when this episode airs. Anyways, we've got a great episode for you all, and I have quite a bit to say about this week's main feature. And this week, we're going to be taking a look at Clint Eastwood's Jersey Boys. Based on the smash hit Broadway musical of the same name, Jersey Boys tells the story of four young men living in New Jersey and how they form a group known as the Four Seasons. And with hits such as Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry, and Walk Like a Man, the Four Seasons go on to become one of the most popular and enduring acts of American history. Now, this movie was one of those movies I got excited for as soon as I saw the trailer. I'm a huge fan of the musical myself, and I was very excited to see Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons right there on the big screen. And what did I think of it after watching it? It was good, but it could have been so much better. Well, what exactly does make this movie work for me? Let's start with the cast itself. One of the things I love is who they got to portray the Four Seasons. Each member has their own unique personality, and they're great singers in their own right. Plus, they managed to get John Lloyd Young to reprise his role as Frankie Valli from the original Broadway production. His performance is electrifying, his singing is phenomenal, and he could still hit those high notes just as he did back in 2006. Now, in terms of its supporting cast, its main gem is Christopher Walken as the mob boss Angelo Gyp DeCarlo. Now, with a title like Mob Boss, one might expect him to be downright despicable and unlikable. Not in this movie. Walken's role is given a more positive treatment. He acts as a father figure towards Frankie Valli and is there whenever there's trouble with him or the band. True, he doesn't sing or dance this time around in this musical, but he still manages to put a smile on my face through his unique and sometimes odd delivery. Now, another thing Jersey Boys has going for it is its music. Most of the songs performed are the actual hits of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and they're timeless gems that still resonate with us to this day. The music is so good that I actually got the Jersey Boys soundtrack and have gone at times playing it non-stop in my car. I mean, I can't think of any other act that sounds like Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. They've got that unique sound. Their sound. Now, if I had to pick my favorite one in this movie, it would probably be Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. It's a classic tune in its own right, but it's the sheer energy through John Lloyd Young's performance that had me getting chills. Now, with all this great stuff I've talked about, surely this movie's just phenomenal, right? Well, as I said before, this movie could have been so much better. And there's a lot of stuff that unfortunately keeps this movie from being spectacular. One of the problems I had was how this movie was shot. Now, throughout the entire movie, it's presented as such that everything looks faded. For some of the movie's more dramatic scenes, I didn't mind the faded colors as I felt it added to the mood of what was being presented. But in the movie's more high-octane performances, it seems to dampen some of the spirit that's trying to be conveyed. Now, I don't know if this is how Clint Eastwood remembered the 1960s, but this movie could have used a lot more color. And speaking of camera work, I think Clint Eastwood needs to get a better green screen department, because there was one scene in which the green screen effects just stood out like a sore thumb. Now, maybe Eastwood was paying homage towards movies that would have these sorts of low-budget effects, but here it's just really distracting. Now, another thing that held this movie back was that in some regards to the music, there are some songs that are cut out entirely or only played for brief moments. Now, I didn't mind the cut songs that much, but I would have still enjoyed them being in the movie nonetheless. Now, what really annoyed me was that they would play some songs for maybe about 30 seconds, and then it would just stop. Eastwood's got this pool of talent right here, and he doesn't use them to their full potential. Plus, it made some of the scenes feel rushed, as if they only had a certain amount of time to fit into the movie. I think you could have squeezed in a few more minutes, Mr. Eastwood. It would have been most appreciated. Now, the final problem that I'll bring up with is the ending, and how it relates to the whole film in general. Now, if you had no prior knowledge of the Jersey Boys show, watching this movie, you would have no idea that it was based on a musical. It plays out more like a biopic that has some stage show elements, such as having characters break the fourth wall to speak to the audience. Fast forward to the ending, and it switches film genres right on the dot, and it looks more like an actual stage musical. Now, while it was very entertaining to watch, it felt extremely out of place. If they decided to go with this type of ending, why not make the rest of the movie like that? This should have been something cut out of the film entirely. It doesn't add up to anything and acts more as, say, perhaps a bonus deleted scene for a DVD. So yeah, this movie has got big problems that had me a little disappointed. Having said all that, however, I'm still glad I saw it. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, here's what I want you to do. First, give this movie at least one viewing. The stuff in it that's good is really good, and it'll stick with you even after you finish. Second, if you ever find the opportunity, see Jersey Boys on stage, whether it be Broadway, national tour, wherever, because I think that you'll get a fuller experience by watching this amazing story live on stage. Hell, go get the soundtrack! You can't beat the music of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. There's no one like him! Don't forget to follow me at Hair Beverage on Twitter, and also don't forget to follow the rest of the Mason Cable Network shows as well. I shall see you all next time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go out and get some more giant paper.
Esther, what was the high point? But four guys under a street lamp. First time we made that sound, our sound, that was the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, Four Seasons!